Welcome. I'm Julie C. Day. I'm here in the role as editor-in-chief of Essential Dreams Press, which has an association with Reckoning Press and also with the Storied Imaginarium, which are the two other groups that are co-hosting together this launch reading for Our Beautiful Reward, which is right here. See right here. Let's see. It's a celebration of the issue. It's also a time for people to get a taste for what's in the issue. Hopefully you'll be as inspired as we've been by what people have brought to the table. There'll be a number of drawings throughout the event as well, for books and t-shirts and various things. So anyone who is here, you're on that list and we may draw your name at that time. There'll also be, if we have time, and we hope to do, a Q&A at the end where you can talk with the authors and the editor, Catherine Rockwood, about the work and anything else related to this reading this evening. We're asking that you please keep your video off for now. We get to the Q&A, we'll loosen up things and allow the videos back on. But for now, we're asking people to have it off. We do have closed captioning available if you need it. And feel free to drop information in the chat. As people read, we will be dropping links to their social media handles and also to charities that they may want to promote as part of this reading. Finally, I would like to introduce Catherine Rockwood, who I was just speaking with. I'll read your bio just quickly. Catherine Rockwood lives in Massachusetts with her family. Their poetry appears in or is forthcoming from Moist Poetry Journal, Strange Horizons, Scoundrel Time, Contrary Magazine, Rogue Agent Journal, Lady Churchill's Rosebud Bristlet, and elsewhere. Chapbook Endeavors to Obtain Perpetual Motion is available from the Ethelsine Press. Another mini chapbook, And We Are Far from Shore, is forthcoming from Ethel in 2023. Now, Catherine, I'll hand it off to you.
Thank you, Julie. And thank you to everybody for being here, to the authors. I can't wait to hear you read your work. And to everybody who's here to listen. And also big thanks to Julie and Carina for hosting this event. So just to kind of say a few words about how we ended up with this issue, and I'm gonna put our cover art front and center for a minute. Again, you too can have one of these amazing Mayan vulva goddess monsters. But we put together the submission call for Our Beautiful Reward fast. I kind of went back through some of my email and I was like, wow, we had a submission call out, a preliminary version, and then we were kind of finding our way into, really articulating what we hope to do for a couple of, for a little while after that. But we had a preliminary version of the submission call out by the end of the day on June 24th, 2022. Which is, of course, the day the US Supreme Court overturned the federal right to choose that had been the law of the land with respect to abortion care since 1973. So we got almost 50 years. So we were really angry and really sad. There was a lot of willingness among Reckoning staff and from Michael J. DeLuca, the publisher, to work on a special issue that would focus on reproductive justice, yes, but also on bodily autonomy, specifically and urgently as it related to gender-affirming care and the environment. And we wanted to know what authors had to say about these things. We wanted to identify and share fiction, nonfiction, and poetry that addressed threats to bodily autonomy in the context of our threatened world, and also celebrated the possibilities of bodily autonomy when it was possible and was enjoyed. Speaking only for myself, I will say I wasn't sure how all of this was going to sort out in building an issue of Reckoning. But as I suspect often happens, the work that came in response to the call showed us how to proceed. So I want to end this brief introduction with a thank you to the authors of our beautiful reward. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your words. And with that, really, this is just supposed to be a brief intro. I'll get out of the way so that our first reader, Linda Cooper, whose powerful poem After the Ban begins the issue itself, can have the next say of the evening.
All right. I'm going to just read you very briefly Linda's bio. Linda Cooper teaches creative writing at Washington Outdoor School. Her poems have been published in Verse Daily, Hayden's Ferry Review, West Branch, Willow Springs, Third Coast, Tupelo Quarterly, Los Angeles Review, Permafrost, Hubbub, and many more. She won the 2015 Orlando Prize for Poetry and the 2022 Allied Arts Foundation Prize. And now I'm going to hand it over to Linda. There we go. Please take it away.
Hey, thank you. I wanted to add something a little to my bio. I'm going to have my first chapbook published by Floating Bridge Press, so I'm excited about that. This particular poem comes from a manuscript that is just about finished, called Glass Puppets Address the Patriarchy. And there's a lot of poems like this in there, because I also was very angry and very sad. I'm actually getting sad right now. Still, it's one of those things that, like, I've lived a long time and that I never thought that Roe was going to, that this was going to happen. So my poem is called After the Ban. Left eye, the moon chewed and spit across the sky. Right eye, a slender girl leaning on a lamppost, her body newly claimed. Neck, hands, uninvited. Nose, 7 starlings wheel across the sky, bear her weight. Hair, wild horses, meandering attention, the half-life of respect. Lips, curl of waves, a flag, or a siren. Ears, silence packs its bags and disappears. The time to listen. Chin, she is becoming hawk, comet, wall of fire. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Carina, are you ready to read?
I am.
Bio?
I have to take a minute because it was beautiful. I have to just take a minute. Wow, I love poetry. I'm Carina Bissett. It's nice to see you. I'm so glad you're here. I have the honor of introducing Leah Bobet next. Leah Bobet is an author, editor, and critic. Leah's novels have won numerous awards. Her short fiction has appeared in a number of years' best anthologies. She was a founding editor at, how do you say it? Abyss and Apex. Oh, I've got it all messed up. Abyss and Apex. Editor of Idiomancer Speculative Fiction and poetry editor for Reckoning, creative writing on environmental justice's issue. So glad you're here.
All right, let's find Leah. Somewhere in here is a Leah. There you are.
All right, is it good?
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Leah also has terrible hair today. So the piece I have in this one is called Fertile Week. A little bit about the background on this. I watch a lot of pre-code movies, both Hollywood and pre-Hollywood, and bodily autonomy is nearly an obsession in them, to the point where some of those visual shorthands have become full-on tropes since. Like, I think we forget why bad guys are always stealing your girlfriend, dressing her much sexier and tying her to things. It's like that communicated something once. So this poem owed a lot to that, trying to reconnect a lot of what showed up to us as packaged, as zombies, as vampires, back to lived life, to something human. These ideas get disconnected. They didn't come from nowhere. So this is Fertile Week. The peas are in the ground, and maybe it'll work this time. I kiss your shoulders and crack jokes, one day on, one day off, just like our doctor said. And when the clock reads 11:11, our fingers twine, and we hold on so tight. Down border, they're stealing bodies. Put her in the dirt and chant the words, she'll do your furtive will. A million murder Legendre brides reduced to flickering black and white haunted house inspections, a million colonial possessions. Down border, they shackle women by the waist in case we miss the point. It took us so long to be ready for this, to feel it turn to bullets under my lips. When I took your hand, my hand was mine. It's been a grayling spring, all rain, no relief in sight, one day on and one day off. This year, I'll build a trellis so the soft green leaves can climb, pea tendrils curious as new fingers stretching wide. This year, I build walls that are secretly ladders, designed to overcome, strategically constructed to let in the sun, to let you in, chin high, arms wide, precaution, circumspection set aside. All of us waiting through the blood-daubed protest signs, craning necks over knees to the flickering screens, waiting breath held as the baton moves inside to be cracked across the face with an open-handed joy. Thank you.
Just wow, that was amazing. There. We are ready for our first drawing, actually. So I'm going to go, Carina and I together are going to do the first drawing. So Carina, if you want, I will hit the number generator. If you will announce the item, announce that.
Okay,
Okay.
I can do that, I think.
I
Yes.
think so too.
All right. So the first thing that we're giving away is an e-bundle of the Dreams 1 and 2 books. So it is Dreams for a Broken World, which came out in November, and Weird Dreams Society. Yeah.
Which came out in 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
Beautiful books. The first book, so Weird Dreams Society was the first book that Julie dreamed up. It's a gorgeous book. And that one was a benefit for Races. And then the second one, Dreams for a Broken World, benefits. It's the Rosenberg Fun for Children.
Yeah. Okay, so if it's you, raise your hand in the chat and let us know that you're here and you'll win the prize. And if you're not here, we'll move on to the next person. And once we know that you are here, we'll email each other afterwards and get your details. Okay, so I have the number 24, which is Nike Sulway. Is there a Nike Sulway in the room? No. All right, ready? Number 16 is Jeremy Brett, who I know. Probably a lot of us. Yes, Jeremy, that's awesome. All right, so Jeremy Brett has won the first item. All right, next item.
Yeah, next item is an e-bundle of all Reckoning issues. I want that. Is my name on there? How many issues
No,
is
it is
that?
not.
How many issues is that, Michael?
It's 7 plus 2 special issues. 9.
9.
Wow, that's quite a bundle. Okay, let's see what we got. All right, 12, which of course is David K. Benner. Is there a David K. Benner in the room? Yes, all right, David, you won that one. And
I have the easy job. I'm like Vanna White.
all right. Are we gonna do any more? Are we
Yeah,
moving
we have
on
2
to-
more on this.
Oh,
I have
okay.
2. I have a Reckoning pin.
Okay, wrecking pen goes to number 41, which is Dan Cooney. Is there a Dan Cooney here? No. All right, Dan, you're out of luck. How about a violet metal mark? What a great name. That is a great name. No violet though. So let's try again. Do one more. 15. Elizabeth Dubbery. Dubberly. Yes, Elizabeth got it. Okay, you have a reckoning pin coming your way.
We have one more thing. I know. Stand it. Reckoning
All right.
t-shirt. Do you have one on, Michael? Oh, man.
Yeah,
Reckoning
I
t-shirt.
How
thought
could I not have one on?
missed opportunity. I should have worn mine too.
Okay,
I have one.
32. And number 32 is Rachel Jancy.
Rachel.
Rachel, is there a Rachel in the house? No, doesn't look like it. So we're gonna go with, I'm really loving this generator. Mackenzie Watson 4. Is there a Mackenzie here? If only. You know what? There
Yeah.
is a Rachel. We're
There
gonna go
is.
with Rachel Truesdale.
Yeah, let's do
Rachel
that.
Truesdale, we're going with you. Get a t-shirt.
Sure. They gotta pick sizes too, right?
Yeah, we'll do the emails after.
Yeah.
We don't have, you don't have to tell us all, we don't have to sort out your size.
No, you don't have to do it public. It's okay. You're fine. Don't worry about
Okay.
it. All right.
So I'm gonna get myself off the spotlight so we can move on to the next amazing piece.
Yes. So I had the pleasure of meeting Riley Tao earlier. So that's who we're gonna hear next. So Riley Tao, they, them, is a second-year college student. They had been previously published in Protean magazine, Cast of Wonders, and Seize the Press. They are currently seeking a literary agent for a YA fantasy novel about a high schooler discovering that they're trans.
Yeah, so I can't speak for all trans people, but in my experience, trans people get asked to justify themselves a lot, justify their existence and their transition and their outness. And this piece was written about that, but from a more environmental perspective. So yeah, this hangs heavy on their head. Later, I am a woven mat to clean oil spills in the Indian Ocean. Before, I was a forbidden braid, made with trembling hands and YouTube videos in a locked-in midnight bathroom. But now I am loose and free, lax between the stylist's comb and humming shears, as Leanne meets their own eyes in the wall-length mirror. Just the left side, they say. The stylist winks. I hear you, he says. And then he begins the trimming. It is nothing like when Leanne first shaves themselves. They don't dare buy shaving cream. A razor could be slipped into a hoodie sleeve, a can of liquid could not. Instead, they rub shampoo into their warm-soaked legs, like they do to me and my 100,000 siblings on the occasions they could force themselves to strip and shower and see themselves, all of themselves, even the parts they wish they could take a blade to and make them disappear, like how with each pass of the razor, the jungle sprouting from their skin thins and thins and thins, until their skin is smooth and bare as farmland. They watch their hairs swirl down the drain and ask whose nightmares they are now. And I know that their body is theirs alone, its terrors only for them to see. Then they are lying in bed and watching Australia burn in the palm of their hand. They wonder if the world would heal faster without them in it. Their father throws open the door. He holds up a mass of tangled hairs in one hand, a plunger in their other. You can't pass your classes, but you can waste your time and my money on vanity? Leanne flinches as their father hurls the evidence of their crimes in their face, and the tangled hairs are thick with sewage. How dare you? Leanne mumbles an apology. They're sorry for hurting him. They didn't mean to. They'll clean up their mess, and their father isn't there anymore, and Leanne runs a thumb along my side, numbly, and I am greasy and tangled from weeks without washing, and if I had any more oil, America would invade. Leanne's legs are prickly. They hurt them with every step, but as long as they eat their father's food and sleep under their father's roof, they daren't hurt them by shaving again. The stylist's blade slices through me, and I am free, dancing around Leanne's shoulders as I arc to the ground. Leanne's father is not here. Lien's father is years and miles and memories away. But still he scoffs as the stylist's nimble fingers work. $20 for a side shave? I could do that myself. His eyes track each drifting hair as if he could count their costs, as if he could see the entirety of time from behind every eye, weigh the agonies and blessings of any choice, and with the confidence of eternity deem Lien's haircut an injustice. And Lien is filthy, scrubbing furiously at their tangled hair, feeling the muck of months wash free from their skin. Lien's father is outside the bathroom door. Lien takes short showers. He appreciates that about them. Lien shakes the water from their hair, feeling the pleasant, soaked weight of it. Their hair could hold so much, they think, more than its weight in water. They wonder what else could hold. I land at Lien's feet, and the stylist steps back. One half of Lien's hair pours over their shoulder like black gold. The other is bare, stark, controlled, theirs. Very little is theirs nowadays. A room they share, a job they hold, a form they own. Even their ideas are not their own. They wonder, if hair can cling to so much oil and water, could it perhaps soak oil from the dark spilled seas? They search the internet and are not sure whether to be disappointed that they are not the first, that a company in San Francisco has been making oil nets from human hair since before Lien knew their name. I have known it all along, that Lien is neither the beginning nor the end. My long strands are swept aside, and Lien regards themselves, the sleek and shimmer of their hair, while the stylist counts up the price. Lien's father is not here, but he spits. Was it worth it? For you to feel better? Nobody is there to respond, but Lien's lips still quirk up as they say, let's find out. Later I am a woven mat to clean oil spills in the Indian Ocean. Before I was a forbidden braid, made with trembling hands and YouTube videos in a locked-in midnight bathroom. But now I am proud as Lien rises, thanks the stylist, and lives the strand of their life to its nowless end.
Thank you, Riley. It's really wonderful to hear all of this work, your work, everyone else's work. I'm going to read the bio for the next person be reading. Dyani Sabin. Dyani Sabin is a queer author of speculative fiction, poetry, and science journalism. Her work has been published in Strange Horizons, Enchanted Conversations, Bastarian, and Reckoning, as well as Popular Science. You can find her haunting a cornfield, chasing ghosts on the endangered species list, or on Twitter at Dyani Sabin. And I'll hand it off to you, Dyani. Dyani, we can't hear you. I'll tell you what. Let me add myself here. While we're sorting out, can you guys hear me all right?
Wait, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to disappear now.
Sorry, the microphone must have been picking up one of the wrong things. And so I was saying, I know they're going to put it in the chat, but I just wanted to highlight this organization, Gender Justice, who is a legal team that fights for reproductive rights, queer rights, and gender equality, working on creating policy for hopefully returning Roe to us, as well as fighting the trans bans that have started to spring up. The poem I'm reading tonight does have some content warnings for sexual violence, so please just be aware. It's titled, "This is a Romantic Comedy." On the phone, she didn't have to call it danger. We all know how to flirt our way out if you have to. Watch your drink, park under a light, walk so you can see between the cars. We held hands to leave, though they hooted at us to kiss when they saw. But how else to hide the shaking? Bruises on her ass, her wrists, her thighs. She called them geography. Bad joke. Lessons they don't teach in school, although we all learned. We went to the movies, watched a man stalk his way past boundaries. A happy ending. Romantic violins played. Violence behind sloppily applied foundation. Driving home in the dark, she told me something I cannot tell you. Guess. But I made her pull off the road. Fears like tears rolled down her cheeks. There was never a way out. No map in the jockey box. Just two trapped girls, 17 at midnight, stopped in the parking lot of an auto body shop, jamming broken hearts together, trying to be whole.
That was amazing. I want to write down all the lines. Like, oh, these are the lines. These are the lines. Oh, you guys are killing me. I'm like crying and all flushed and whatnot. So we're moving on. That was great. So yeah, I don't even know how do you move on. So we're moving on to our next reader, who is Juliana Roth. So please welcome Juliana. Juliana was selected as a Vita Fellow. Her writing appears in the Breakwater Review, Your Magic, Irish Pages, Los Angeles Review of Books. Her web series, The University, was nominated by the International Academy of Web Television for Best Drama Writing. She teaches writing at NYU.
Thank you. It's so lovely to read with you all, and I agree with what was just said. I want to write down all of those lines from all of the work. It's really beautiful. So this poem that I have in the issue is called Roses in Washington Square Park. I sit with my mother across piles of roses, stems clipped and lined straight in 3 rows intersecting, some chalked anarchy symbols, others uterus reclaiming. We don't know where the roses come from, but nobody will pick them up. Then a few do. Put them back, a trance over the buds, a communal understanding not to touch. I look for the artist as my mother translates what the German men next to us say over sips of gin. Something about going to Astoria for a club. One guy likes a blonde girl he danced with. I'm going to stop now, my mother whispers. She Googles roses in Washington Square Park. They're like 35 a dozen, she repeats. The cost is always considered. I wonder about the magic of a community of strangers, not touching what isn't theirs. Thank you.
Thank you, Juliana. That was wonderful. Let me see. We're going to do another drawing now, actually. Are you ready, Carina?
This is great.
Right.
I love poetry. I'm so digging this. This is great.
I can tell you are so jazzed. Okay,
I am. I'm totally jazzed. I'm gonna write like something later. So second drawing. Nothing is good, but I'm still gonna write. So our second drawing is a print copy of Leah Bobet's An Inheritance of Ashes. Oh my goodness.
I'm so excited. Thank you, Leah, for donating this. This was fantastic. And we've got, thanks to the handy number generator, number 30, Diane Peterson. Is there a Diane Peterson in the room? Yes. Okay. We got it.
Yeah.
The first.
Oh.
Okay.
Look at that. I want to read that book. You guys are costing me money and like time and passion. It's great. And we have another reckoning pin.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
I got to press the number 36, who happens to be Jessica Fulkerson. Is Jessica Fulkerson in the room?
No, Jessica.
That is one of my best friends who was attempting to make it. So I kind of, okay, here we go. Number 25, Allison Caldwell. Is there an Allison
Allison
Caldwell?
was here. Yes, Allison's here. Yeah, Allison.
Okay, awesome. All right.
All right, I'm gonna mute myself. Gosh, it's poetry, you guys. It's beautiful. I'm just
All right.
beside myself. All right, I'm gonna step aside.
I'm going to read for the bio for our next reader, MC Benner Dixon. MC Benner Dixon's short stories have appeared in Funicular, the Los Angeles Review, The Hopper, Fusion Fragment, and elsewhere. Christine's writing includes a collection of craft essays forthcoming from the University of Michigan Press. Her debut novel, The Height of Land, is the recipient of the 2022 Orison Fiction Prize. And now I'm going to move it on to Christine. So Christine there you are.
Okay, thank you. Before I begin, I would like to draw your attention to the organization that I'm supporting tonight, Trans Uniting. It's a mutual aid nonprofit that provides crisis housing, food assistance, and community spaces and resources to Pittsburgh's trans community and LGBTQIA+ youth. So about the story, it always freaks me out when conversations about bodily rights verge into the territory of biology. What the body is designed for, whether that's birth or menstruation or sex or facial hair or what have you. If there's some purpose for, as if, there is some purpose for our bodies that's more than just our existence. And at the same time, I'm cognizant of my body as being a piece in an ecosystem, performing functions that others depend upon: respiration, digestion, in my time, decomposition. And yeah, that freaks me out. And so I wrote a story about it because that's what writers do when we're freaked out. In Those Dark Halls, which is the name of the story, our main character, Paige, is a keeper, which means that she grows chambers in her back that serve as incubation site for eggs of moths. And here's a section of that story. Finals came and went, and Paige pulled in a B- in stats, acing her social work specific classes. Her summer term would begin in a week. Paige had a practicum lined up with a women's center on the north side of the city. She was only vaguely aware of the news that tenant moths had been spotted in town. A headline from a local news station had popped up in her feed. She didn't even open the article. She just clocked the news and moved on. She should start paying closer attention. This was probably the year that a tenant moth, having flirted in the dusky evening air with a mate, would find her, alight between her shoulders, and deposit its eggs into one of her chambers. Her mom had bought her a few keeper shirts, some with open backs, some with more discreet slits, but she only wore them when she had her hair down to hide their function. It was customary for keepers to either leave their windows open at night or take evening walks during the breeding weeks. Paige didn't do any of this. If it happened, it happened. A few weeks, and even the small inconveniences of hosting would be over, and her life would return to normal until next summer. Just a few weeks, she told herself whenever the thought surfaced. It's nothing. It was a Thursday evening, and Paige was walking through the parking lot of the ShopRite on her way to get some milk and eggs and a few other odds and ends, when the moth blundered into her face. She jerked away and swatted at the bug, not fully registering its import. Undeterred, the moth returned and landed on her right shoulder. Paige craned her neck to see it. Between the light of the parking lots and the lingering sunset in the summer sky, Paige could make out its distinguishing features. Dark, fuzzy thorax and striped abdomen tufted at its end. The wings, a soft, veined gray with a greenish band edging the forewings and a single black splotch on each hind wing. All light seemed to disappear into its compound eyes. Paige was surprised to find her heart racing a little. The moth began to crawl. It its legs tickling her bare shoulder as it made its way toward her back. Paige gently pulled her hair forward to clear the way. "Oh my God, look," said a woman walking up behind Paige. Paige was still frozen in place, not knowing if her movement would scare the moth off. Out of the corner of her eye, she could see the woman staring, another figure beside her. The pair of them apparently felt no shame in gawking openly at the spectacle now taking place in and on Paige's body. "Gross," said the woman, or her companion maybe. Then they kept walking, strolling through the sliding doors of the grocery store with a lingering glance of disgust back at Paige. Angry and nervous, Paige eased herself towards the bench a few feet from the entrance, its back against the plate glass of the storefront. Paige sat at the far end of the bench, where she would be shielded by a large vinyl decal advertising pre-made salads and juice smoothies for sale inside. She did not want anyone else to see this. She might be resigned to this tenancy, but she was not resigned to being casually, comfortably reviled by some bitch on her way to get a case of Diet Coke and a 12-pack of toilet paper. As she sat and waited, Paige began to calm. She could feel the faint tickle of the moth's fine feet in its tufted abdomen. She remembered practicing this part of the tenancy in keeper classes when she was young, simulating the crawl and ovipositing with paintbrushes so that the children could learn to keep still as it happened. Paige sat patiently as the tenant moth did her quiet work. As she waited, Paige thought about her summer practicum at the Women's Center, about the women she would meet drowning in a ruthless system, their abusers hovering in the shadows. Her heart swelled with the desire to protect those women. She cut herself off abruptly. That was savior bullshit, as her micro practice professor would call it, and she had to cut it out. Micro practice was taught by a woman who had been a social worker with the city for 25 years. "You aren't here to save anyone," she said to them. "Get that out of your heads. This is work, not missionary service. Even if you do your job perfectly, you don't save anyone at the end of the day. And you aren't going to do your job perfectly. Make peace with that. You are going to make mistakes and miss things and watch the consequences fall on other people. You do not have the worst end of the deal here. Your clients do. The things that bring your clients to you in the first place, hunger, poverty, mental illness, racism, trauma, they're big ass problems. You do what you can do to help them navigate the system, but you cannot, and you will not, save them. That's not the job. Go in expecting to save people and you will burn yourself to the ground and take everyone else down with you." The best she could hope for was to help a little, if she could. Paige leaned forward as she had been taught, straightening her shoulders to relax the skin of her back. Maybe she owed this to the universe, giving herself to somebody, even if it was just a soft-bodied moth with light-absorbing eyes. It was a little thing, she reminded herself, such a little thing to be a keeper. There was the barest flutter by Paige's left ear, and she turned to see the moth fly off, perhaps to lay additional eggs in another keeper's chamber, perhaps to die. But the moth had done her work. She had laid her eggs and on her feet carried a fungus, which would now proliferate in the pouch as the eggs developed. By hatching time, there would be a scaly, yeasty overgrowth all around the eggs. It would discolor Paige's skin, but it would give the larvae their first food. When the caterpillars vacated the chambers, her body would regain its natural balance. She should probably get the app, Paige thought. She pulled her phone out and went to the app store. Her finger hesitated over the download button. It wasn't strictly necessary. She could track the dates of this clutch of eggs and those that might be laid in her other chambers over the next few weeks manually, like her mother used to do. The memory of that little red-backed grid paper notebook brought with it a tart mix of nostalgia, affection, sadness, and revulsion. She clicked the download button quickly and looked away over the parking lot as the program loaded. When she looked down again, there on her screen was a new little icon of a tenant moth cupped in a pair of hands. Paige's eyes stung and blurred, and she blinked, sending the tears streaming down her face. She felt silly crying about this thing that was so peripheral to her life. She wiped her tears and forced herself to enter her age, weight, height, and gender, along with the date and location of the deposit. If she didn't do it right away, she might never open the app again. Thank you.
I don't want to unmute. Wow. Wow. Just wow. You guys are killing me. That was great. So we only have one more reader. You guys, this went so fast. What's happening here?
And we're gonna have a Q&A after if we have time.
Yes,
And oh
we
yeah,
are.
one more giveaway, one more random generator.
We have one more reader. Marissa. And then we're gonna do a drawing, and then we have opening for Q&A, so I hope you stay. And then Catherine's gonna close us out. So Marissa Lingen, did I say it right? Marissa, just did it wrong. Lingen, got it. Marissa Lingen is a freelance writer living in the suburbs of Minneapolis with her family. Mostly she writes speculative fiction. She has a large collection of foliage themed jewelry, which now I have to see. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I just have little tree earrings in, so that's all the foliage themed jewelry you get this time. And that's a lot more lighthearted than my poem. So there you go. My poem is Exception. It was the last one in the issue, so it's fitting that we're closing the reading with it too. So, Exception. Surely I will breathe fresh air. Surely I will drink clean water. Surely I will not suffer alone. Surely I will not rage with fever. Surely I will not be turned away to cramp and bleed unaided. Surely I will root in rich soil. Surely my voice will be heard for what I meant, not what I said, for what I should have meant. Surely my trees will not burn, nor my bridges, nor my books. Surely I'm not one of those people. Surely I have nothing to fear. Surely I will never lie down in this bed someone else has made, a stranger in the land I thought I knew. Thanks.
Thanks, Marissa. That was great. Well, I don't know if great's the right word. All of these pieces, they make me want to just sit for a while. But we are here to share, so we're gonna do that. Hang on for a second.
Really? We're gonna do our drawing first, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do a drawing. Here we are. I think
All
we've
right.
got our dynamic duo down now, my friend.
Shirley, I wrote that down. Shirley. Gosh. All right. We have an e-bundle of Dreams 1 and 2, which is Dreams for a Broken World and Weird Dream Society, going backwards.
Okay, here we go. I have a fine number 21, Priscilla J. Benner. Is there a Priscilla in the room?
I see Dave. Oh, yeah.
Yes, there is a Priscilla. Okay. Okay.
Oh my goodness, you guys, this is the last one. A print bundle of Reckoning issues. This is just 2. Can you imagine how big that box is going to be? It's going to be huge. Yep. Print bundle.
You're
9.
killing me. I miss
7.
you. I wish you were closer. Okay.
7 plus
Ready?
2 special issues. This is number 7. And this is one of 2 special issues. All right.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
This is number 28, John Sabin. I believe he may be related to one of our readers. Is there a John
Not
here?
here.
Dad.
Dad.
I'm here.
Okay.
All right, Julie, we've got 9 minutes. So do we have
So-
time for a couple of Q&As?
Yeah, we do. I'm going to turn off spotlight so that everyone can see the authors. Authors feel free to, or turn off focus mode, sorry. Authors feel free to turn on your cameras if you have them off. And we're going to not allow, but if you have a question for the authors or you want to, I'm going to turn our spotlights off too, drop it in the chat, or alternatively, raise your hand and we will try and turn on your mic for you. But dropping it in the chat might be easier. Does anyone have a question? Carina, you're not on mute, so feel free to talk.
Oh, no, I was just showing, it was an example. You can raise your hand.
Okay. 3 participants raised their hands. Okay, so we have, let's see. Gosh, there's so many people here. This is really quite wonderful. Kathy, do you have a question? Kathy.
Okay, turn her mic on.
Yeah, I turned Kathy's mic on. Kathy, are you there?
Tom, do you have your hand raised?
No. Oh.
Yeah. Was that by accident? Okay, I think Kathy is not actually having a question. So, Carina, do you have any questions for the authors here?
So many.
I
don't even
so
know where to
many.
start.
I feel like
Yeah.
your energy is like exploding. So let's hear it.
Yeah. So Roe versus Wade sent me into a tizzy personally. And so mine was ragey. I thought it was really interesting, the different perspectives, because I thought that there was like a feeling that the undercurrent, but I didn't really feel as much rage as I felt. I mean, it was there, but I was wondering for those of you who wrote about Roe versus Wade, I was wondering, did you do it immediately or did you take some time to process?
I think you should all be able to hear. I'm going to unmute you guys in case you can't yourselves. Here we go. All right.
I would
Anyone
actually have to look that up. I have the feeling that it took me some time and then my poem came out all in a rush, but I don't remember whether it was the first day after or a few days after. I honestly don't.
For me, it was immediate. And I think that the sort of what people didn't see, I guess, is that the poem is in a form that was really hard to show in reading. And so each of the parts of the body are sort of, set aside. And then the different commentary on each one has kind of dashes. What are those lines called?
M dashes.
Yes, thank you. M dashes. And so it really followed that feeling of shock and feeling fragmented and the body being torn apart. So it was pretty immediate, raw emotion.
I don't think I wrote this actually until I saw the call. I have this memory of like, I had been working on like a novel or something else. And after that happened, I couldn't write at all for like 2 weeks. And then I saw the Catherine's call, and then the poem, it would just like vomiting onto the page. And then like, that was it.
Does anyone else?
Leah, did you want to add or?
I'm sorry?
Oh, you have your mic off. I was wondering if you had, make sure you have space.
I think that was just a vestige of mass muting and mass unmuting. So
It was. Okay.
I have another question.
Yeah, I had a feeling. Go for it.
Christine. Oh my gosh, like body horror at its best. So why Moz, and where did that come from? Like, it was very visceral. I'm just very curious how you decided on the back. I mean, because if you start thinking about women's bodies, it's like the most innocuous place to, yeah. So I'm just kind of curious how you decided to do that and why moths, like, not butterflies. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think it was important for me and for the story that it was that little thing. And you hear that in the section that I read, right? And I know that that's definitely not the case with all elements of bodily autonomy. Like there are things that are really big things. Like, a lot of people like to make comparisons to pregnancy, but it's not the same, right? Like this is a much smaller scale. But do we have that autonomy at any scale? And so I think that's why that smallness was important. I think the moths rather than the butterflies, I wish I could explain that to you other than it was just right. But I will tell you a very weird story, which is basically as soon as I had written this story and workshopped it for the first time, I was at my window and there was a moth laying eggs on the screen of my window. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess they're coming for me. But yeah, I think there is something like butterflies already have so much symbolism laid onto them. And moths are different. What I didn't know, and somebody informed me later, is that moths actually do carry symbolism in the trans community as well. And that was really interesting to me. And it was, again, not an intentional choice, but a happy and a welcome correspondence.
Moment of synchronicity. We're down to 2 minutes, so I think it's a good moment to turn it over to Catherine to kind of close us out. I'm going to put the spotlight on you, Catherine.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess, now you know. Like, I guess that's kind of how I feel. Like, I mean, if you're hearing this work for the first time tonight, if you didn't get a chance to read it when it came out, if you haven't pre-ordered your copy, let me see if I can just, oh no, I can't just, I have my pre-order link here somewhere. But now you know, like, and I feel like, again, as this work was coming in over the transom and it's powerful and diverse, and yet, it came together around these very exigent, difficult themes that again, it was our goal to find out what authors were writing. I would say that there was a sense, from the Reckoning staff, that we needed to know, like right now, what authors were working on that was going to address, these issues of bodily autonomy and reproductive justice and the environment. And so, so it's been a pleasure as an editor who knew, right, what you were going to be hearing tonight, to see the reactions come in and to see people's responses, because we are just so grateful and proud, of the work that came together for this issue. And so, please, read it, read all of it, read MC Benedictson's, is Christine, should I say? So MC Benedictson's amazing novelette. I don't think it's quite novella length, but those dark halls, and read all the poetry, see how it fits together in order, and separately. And I hope that is, some of what you needed at this time, because it certainly was what we needed. So thank you for coming.
Thank you. All right. Thank you everyone for coming.